Hi, friends. A word on prayer. Though we're finishing our series on prayer, I hope we're just beginning to learn how to pray. I'm constantly reminded of a wonderful quotation by a Christian writer named Thomas Merton, who, when writing on prayer, says this: "We do not want to be beginners, but let us be convinced of the fact that we will never be anything else but beginners all our life." Let me read that again. Related to prayer, Thomas Merton says, we do not want to be beginners in prayer, but let us be convinced of the fact that we will never be anything else but beginners all our life. Don't you love that? I constantly am reminding myself that I'm just a beginner, though I've been praying for decades, and no doubt you have too. We are always just beginners. I think sometimes we're inhibited in our prayers because we compare our prayers to others. I remember a person in my life, an influential person in my life, who felt that prayer needed to be really loud. And they prayed with a really loud voice. And I was intimidated by that. I'm from a tradition that appreciates silence in prayer. I also know I've been around people who have very eloquent words and sometimes long and eloquent prayers. As a pastor, sometimes I feel pressured to pray with long, eloquent sentences and be very articulate. And yet Jesus criticizes that in the Bible. I think Jesus invites us to always be a beginner every day, to begin again. And I just want to encourage us, when we feel we're struggling in prayer, when we feel we haven't prayed for a while, when we feel our prayers are empty of power, just remember, we're always a beginner. We're always starting over with God in prayer. And He welcomes that. He loves our honesty. He loves our vulnerability. If we learn anything from the Psalms, God invites our desperation. God invites our honesty. God invites our struggles, even in prayer. So always begin again in prayer. And don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged by other people and the ways that they pray. Don't get discouraged by your own failures or the lack of feeling or emotion that you may have. Just begin again. And I want us to be encouraged by another quotation, this one by a Danish mystic, Soren Kierkegaard, and he talks about prayer, and especially for those of us in the Friends Church who have been studying meditation and contemplation. He says this, he says, "A man prayed, and at first he thought that prayer was talking, but he became more and more quiet until in the end he realized that prayer is listening." So as you begin again, allow yourself space to listen to God and to just be with God in His presence, and let your heart, your thoughts, your attitudes, and even your words carry your prayers to the Lord. Begin again.